Good morning, everyone. How are you guys today? My name is Hannah, and I am from Heartsneed Art. I am going to be your instructor today for this lovely little piece of paper that I have today. So I hope you guys are ready to join me. What I'm going to be doing is something that I sort of started one time last week with somebody that I was working with in one of my open studio time slots. And it was just an idea that came about. And we did it a little bit with her project. And I decided I would take that project and run with it today, see what I can do. So I hope you guys have fun. We will be using paper and markers only. No pencil, no nothing else. And then if we have time, or if you want to, you can add some water to it using just the water and a paintbrush. So any kind of paintbrush will work perfectly fine with this. So I hope you guys have fun with it. And again, my name is Hannah, and a little bit about Heartsneed Art and our organization before I begin. We are a nonprofit based in San Antonio, Texas. We create moments of joy, self-expression, and connection for those facing life-altering health challenges through arts engagement, advocacy, and innovation. Our vision is the universal accessibility of arts engagement to help everyone feel seen, heard, and loved while facing these life-altering health challenges. So we do work in Methodist Hospital, usually with the cancer patients, but we do have some other patients as well that come in to the BMT clinic and the outpatient and the inpatient as well. So that is a little bit about what we do, and you'll hear a little bit more about that as I'm talking and while we're doing these things. So let's get started. I have just my regular color markers here. I don't know why I have 2 packs. I just happen to have 2 packs. I don't know why. So I'm just going to go ahead and take them out while I'm doing that. Is there anybody out here who wants to throw out the first color that I can use? First color. I'll wait a moment to get those in if you guys are wanting to throw out a color. I would love to see that. I always love to ask people to engage with me and maybe do a little bit of art with me. So let's see. It feels like a green day today. Get it, green day? So I don't know. I might do a little bit of green unless somebody throws out another color. But while I'm waiting for those suggestions, if you guys would like to give a donation today, we have one-time donations, which we always have the link for in the comments. But we also have a link to support any of our artists, including myself. If you would like to do that, you can give a donation, and that supporting an artist or adopting an artist, whether it be me or Judy, our writer, or any of our musicians, that will be a monthly donation, and that will actually give you access to some of our thoughts from throughout the week. So we have to give out our artist reports, and we have to write about our interactions with people. Usually it would be with patients if we were in the hospital setting, but it's not. We're not in the hospital setting, but you'll still get some of our thoughts. But a lot of those are what we think about what we do, what we are doing, the types of projects we're doing throughout the month, and maybe just some of the things that make us happy throughout our interactions. So there's a little bit of that, and you can visit heartsneedart.org/team if you would like to give a monthly donation for that. So thank you for that. And I guess since I don't see any comments yet about suggestions, I'm just going to dive right into it and go for green. So this little project, here, I'm going to move my canvas up a little bit, okay? So I'm going to disappear from the screen, but you're going to see my piece of paper. So this little project I had done with somebody last week in Open Studio, and we were just sort of trying to figure out what to do what to put in her little piece of artwork, and I just started drawing lines. So I'm going to start up here. We're going to draw lines like triangles and rhombuses. That's going to be the general rule here. So there's a space between my next shape. I'm just going for it. Here's a rhombus of some sort. I see that up here, I can squeeze in another triangle. And the way I like to see this project is like a puzzle. I like to think of it as a puzzle. If I wanted to, I could squeeze in a really skinnier one up here. I can have a much longer one there, perhaps make that into a triangle. It's a puzzle in which you get to decide what kinds of pieces to put in your little puzzle. Triangles and rhombuses, that's all we're going to be drawing today. And you figure out where to put them. So I can see here a longer line. I didn't make that on purpose. That just kind of happened as I was doing this project, or as I was making my shapes. So because of that, perhaps I can stretch that. Perhaps I can make that a really, really larger shape. I think triangles are my favorite, but maybe let's throw in a rhombus somewhere. I don't know. It's just sort of starting to skew that way. Last time I did this, we started to do this, and I think I used another color. We started to do something like this, but I hadn't actually like put it over the entire paper. So this will be kind of fun to see what comes of this. I have a feeling though that it's gonna look like a little turtle shell, or a really big turtle shell. And oh no, I overshot. I didn't actually aim very well. I can always stretch that down. Oops. I'm just going to continue to do all of this. If anyone wants me to throw in another color, which I think I will, please let me know. Like, I think I want to throw in a different color, maybe for this side, and then maybe over here. Perhaps I can jump over here, maybe, and then throw in a triangle because there's a corner down there. I'm honestly just making this up like as I go. So any color suggestions from you guys? If not, I'm going to jump into one of my favorites, this guy, turquoise. Let's see what that one looks like. And then maybe I can throw in another surprise color as my third color. So let me know what you think of that. Let's see, maybe I want there to be a space here or a connection there. Again, I'm just making this up as I go. And honestly, the reason I want to throw out several colors is because I don't really want this to turn into a turtle shell. I don't, but if you all do, then that's totally fine. I want you guys to make that decision. So this is honestly the kind of stuff that I like to do on my own, like for my own artwork, for myself. I like to throw out puzzles for myself. I like to sort of give myself that little mental exercise. Oh yes, so you just saw a little blurb down there on the bottom of the screen that showed you how to schedule an online session with me. you can certainly do that if you would like. So I have my office hours, which are listed on the link itself, and you can schedule to do your own little private art lesson with me. I've used markers, I've used, what else have I used? I've used color pencils, I've used watercolor with participants, and they've all been a lot of fun. We're doing some ongoing projects now that are going to take a couple of sessions. So I'm really excited about that. Let's see, perhaps I can put this here. So yeah, this is what I like to do, just make little puzzles with, you know, anything that I have around. Whenever I had another studio set up, I would often do watercolors, and that was always a lot of fun for me. Watercolors, just to sort of watch all of the colors spread. That was just fun to see. Let's see, what else? Any third color suggestions? Anything at all? There are no right or wrong answers, by the way. Because if not, I might actually throw in, let's see. Should I do pink or should I do orange? Let me know what you guys think, pink or orange. And I will start building up some more, maybe squeeze in a few here, just to have it climb up in this area, but either orange or pink. And then while you guys are deciding on that, perhaps I'll add a couple of more teal ones over here. I really love teal. It's one of my favorite colors. I say that about maybe 5 different colors. Those are my favorites. Can't really ask me to pick one and stick with it. It's really hard. And just in case you guys didn't know, we actually have a lot of activities going on throughout the week. We've been doing these activities with other artists for weeks now. It's been a long time now. And we have our musicians in residence. We have our writer in residence as well. Some of them play guitar. We have ukulele. We have piano. All of them sing. I do not sing. You don't want me to sing. Go like that. They're all really awesome to listen to. Okay. All right, y'all. I am going to go ahead and choose orange. So, fun little fact about myself. Anytime I see orange, I always want to call it yellow. And every time I see yellow, I always want to call it orange. I don't know where that started, how that started, why that started, but it did. I like that. That looks really nice. Down here. That's going to look really cool, like whenever I actually put water on top of it and I can see some of the colors interact together. Perhaps I can put one here. Now this is where the puzzle becomes really interesting because then you try and figure out where to put certain things within tighter spaces. And then your shapes get a little bit more funky because of it. And I think that the repetition of doing these triangles again and again and again definitely helps me to wake up for sure. Suddenly I have a little puzzle that I need to finish. I'm going to squeeze one up here. Perhaps maybe over here. So I know a lot of times I talk about, oh yeah, oh yes. So before I get back to that point, if you want to actually join me for a little session next time, you can do that. If you click on that link over there, or I'm sorry, there's not a link. You can actually just comment, or you can email us or message us and join us for a session anytime I do these things. So we can schedule that in, and you guys can be part of the live stream. You guys can be right next to me as I'm doing something. We can both do something together. Yesterday I actually did, is it a self-portrait using my non-dominant hand? So for me, that was my left hand because I am right-handed, and it was a lot of fun. We did the project with Elaine, who happens to be one of our other, well, she used to be one of our other artists in residence, and was one of the very first artists in residence for Hearts Need Art. So she actually was able to join me in doing this self-portrait, and it was a lot of fun. And I wanted to do that one in particular because we're both artists, and I thought it'd be fun to do something a little more challenging, which was using our non-dominant hands. So that was yesterday's live streaming. Next week, you can certainly do something as well. Using any kind of media that you have in your house. So don't feel like you have to go and buy something for it. Like, we can just make something up on the spot, or I can plan something ahead of time for you. So no worries there. I'm pretty good at making things up as I go. So yeah, I hope some of you guys are able to join us. Dun, dun, dun. I just decided to cut that across because I didn't want that to go all the way down, because I love the way this orange looks next to this teal here. Ta-da! I think I will add some larger pieces of the puzzle because I feel like it's going to get a little bit too messy if I keep on adding these much smaller ones. So I'm going to add some water to it. So that's definitely going to make it different. It's going to add another element to it. Yay, I'm almost done. So anyway, I was talking about repetition and the fact that I like to employ repetition in a lot of my work for myself. Now, when I say work for myself, what I mean is just making the time for myself to sit down and do something. Now, whether or not that something turns out to be something amazing and I want to sell it is a whole nother story. But I will use watercolors, I'll use pen on my own. I'll just sort of, if I'm feeling a little doodly that day, I will take a pen and literally just swirl my pen marks. Swirl, 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 like maybe not all over the page. I don't think I ever have that much patience, but in a large portion of the page, I'll just continue those swirls again and again and again. So that's just sort of how I relax. And it is true that doing art in general and creating that repetition, it helps us with our memory, helps us to sort of relax and process whatever's going on throughout the day. And that's why I do it. And I find myself drawn to wanting to do it. Oh, look at that. That was my last piece of the puzzle. Awesome. Now, my next step here is to go in and let's make some more shapes on the inside. So more shapes and some lines. These lines and these shapes, we're going to be going over them with water, and all of this is going to become much more blurry. We're not going to be able to see a ton of those lines. So basically, we're creating filler, creating these areas where we can spread that color. And the reason I am making these shapes in the middle, like that one, is because I want those shapes to be blank. I don't want there to be any color in the middle there. So that's why I'm doing it this way. You can make these shapes really small compared to the rest of the piece. Or you can make them really large compared to the rest of the piece. And who knows, depending on what this looks like, maybe I can put another color in the middle there. Like if it looks too blank to me, perhaps I can put another color. And you'll notice that I'm not really paying too much attention to my scribbles and the way they look, because I know that all of that is going to have water poured on top of it or painted on top. So it's going to get blurry. So it's not really going to matter too much what we do there. I mean, some of those lines might stay, but I think that's the beauty of it. I personally don't really mind not knowing exactly what it's going to look like. I feel like that's a good metaphor for life, though. Like, I don't know. Do some things that you can sort of help guide, and do some things that make you happier. And it's okay the way it turns out. Like that. And look at that. That looks kind of nice, where it's like much thinner on the bottom and thicker over here. Did not plan that, but I like it. Same thing with that one. What are some other things that you guys do to de-stress? Let me know in the comments, because I know a lot of people like baking, and that's something that I've been wanting to do during this quarantine craziness. I've been wanting to get into gluten-free baking and dairy-free baking personally, because I can read instructions from a box and I can follow recipes online, but I want to get a little creative with it. That's just me. Been wanting to do that. But what do you guys do to de-stress? That's what I want to know. Because maybe I can try it out. What else do some people do? Hiking. Hiking's a really good one. I've been going on hikes lately by myself, of course. But it's been a lot of fun just to go and get out into nature. Sometimes I will find some rocks, like big boulders that I like by some creek beds, and I'll sunbathe there for a moment or two. Not too long though. I am very heat sensitive, but I still love to do it. So go hiking. What else? I have been exercising as well as part of my de-stressing routine. I kind of feel like I want to throw in another color somewhere. Like maybe in here, maybe a little yellow. What do y'all think? Yep, we're sticking with yellow. Yeah, I like that. It needed something. Perhaps I can even throw a little bit in this big space that I was telling you about. I don't even think I want to finish that off or close that off. I think I'll leave that as is. So a little bit more about what I do at the hospital there at Methodist, when we were there at least. I would go in, and Mondays I would go to the outpatient clinic, and I would do projects with patients there. And on other days, I would also do group projects in the inpatient setting. So that would be the 8th floor, and I would work with patients there. So what we do is emotional support. So we have all these projects for patients, and we let people, we have a project usually I'll have something planned ahead of time. And we always like to do, to use good supplies too. Like we never really like to get cheap supplies or supplies that we know will not do the job. So we want to get something that is quality and something that will last the test of time. And that's also what I really love about Hearts Need Art too, is that we know the value of these types of projects and these types of supplies that we're using. So I would do window art while I was there, group classes. I would do collaborative projects with patients at the outpatient facility. What else? I would work one-on-one too with patients, not only in the inpatient on the 8th floor, but also in the outpatient area too. I'd work one-on-one with them and just sort of create something that they can take home sometimes, most times. I really loved the collaborative projects though, because a lot of times it would start out as a live painting. I would just sort of set up in the lobby or in the Bay areas and start on a project, and then show people that are there or anyone who was willing to work on something with me, just sort of show them how to do certain brushstrokes that are really, really easy. And then they can, if they have a little more time, they could spend their time with me and stay there, and I could show them how to do larger portions of the painting or the project that we were doing. And if they didn't have a lot of time, then I always like to give them something really short and really quick that they can do in passing, perhaps. Like maybe on their way from their doctor's visit to the door, and I might be right there, right by the door. It's always a lot of fun though, and I always really love the conversations that come out of that setting. And then I would also do the group art lessons too, and those are a lot of fun. But every class really, and this actually applies to anything that we do at the hospital. Every class or every interaction is always going to be different. And if you sign up to do a monthly donation, you'd get to hear a little bit about my thoughts regarding this. there's a link right there if you need it. But every interaction was different. So patients would come in, and sometimes they would be, super happy, of course, to be here. And, sometimes they'd be waiting for this all week, because sometimes it was the only interaction that they were able to get for the whole week was art class. So it was nice to be able to provide that kind of support as well for those patients, because so many patients are there for so long. But we always had to be aware that sometimes they may want to go back to their rooms early, no matter how excited they may have been to be in art class. Perhaps they just didn't have the energy that they thought that they had, and they may need to leave the room. They may be super fatigued. Who knows what those medications do to those patients? So it's nice to be able to provide something, an option, a good option for them. So I am going to show you guys what it takes, or what happens when you add water on top of this. I am using this brush. This is going to be a round pointy brush, but I also want to show you what it looks like if you happen to have one of these brushes. So I like to use round brushes personally. It just feels more natural for me to use these, but if the other one is easier for you, then you use that one. Here's what it looks like. And I accidentally went out of the line already, but I am not mad about it. See? I love this technique so much. Really does not take any effort at all, just a willingness to do something and watch the colors. Watch the colors run, watch the colors spread and fade. See what the brush does. See? Now that was using the pointy brush. Here's what it looks like when you use the square brush. You can choose to use the flat end of it, or if you need some smaller areas to squeeze it into, you can use that thinner edge, like that. And if you wanted to, you could rinse between brush strokes. You may not need to, though, if you're just going one color, or I'm sorry, if you're just doing one color at a time. So I could go here and just do only all of the orange ones. I almost said yellow. And then I could rinse my brush and then switch over to there. Or I could rinse my brush and then maybe switch over to this one. Like that. So this is a really great technique to use if you do not have any watercolors at your disposal. Really does not take a whole lot to create something really, really beautiful. Now for you guys, it shouldn't really run like that unless you're using an easel. So ideally you would have these at home flat on a table. So it's only running because I'm on an easel. Don't forget too that if you guys would like to support any of our artists, you can click that link there. You can also support any of our musicians too. Or our writer in residence, Judy, she's amazing. I always tell myself that I am and I need to get into writing, and she always gives some nice pieces of advice, really good places to start when in your writing process, even if it's just journaling for yourself. She gives really good advice on that as well. Where to start with that if you're stuck. She gave a lesson one time on how to do a haiku, and that was really fun. Oh, look at that. Now, some of these colors here, this orange and the blue, I love the way that looks whenever you mix that together. I don't know. I'm a really big fan of mixing colors that normally you wouldn't want to mix together. That just looks really nice to me. Now, if anyone has any suggestions as to other shapes I should put, then let me know. Like, I could theoretically go in and maybe put some circles there, or maybe some extra triangles. Y'all let me know if there's anything. Dun, dun, dun. Maybe not a circle. Maybe, I don't know. But anyway, that's all I'm gonna do is just put water on all these little sections here. I could actually go over it later with, perhaps with a pen, like after it dries. Definitely recommend after it dries, going over it with a pen or something. And you can maybe go over your shapes. Perhaps you can put some little doodles in the middle. What else can you put in here? Also, if anybody happens to be working on this project at home, please show me. I would love to see what you guys create. There. Oh yeah, look at that. Some of that green is bleeding in with blue there. That's kind of nice. Perhaps when some of this is dry, I can show you what it looks like whenever if you wanted to put some pen on top of it. What kind of music do you guys like to listen to whenever you're doing any art project, really, or just any project at all? Let me know what kind of music y'all. Is there a certain kind of music you gravitate towards? So I have a little confession to make. I gravitate towards K-pop because I love K-pop. I love certain bands though. I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of energy, and I think it's the energy that I'm drawn to, and of course the bands. So there's that. Y'all are more than welcome to schedule those one-on-one sessions with me. They're a lot of fun. We use Zoom. That's our platform, and we can work on one specific project over several periods of time, or we can work on lots of different projects, or I can teach you how to create or how to start off using a certain medium. One of my students, I'm teaching her how to watercolor. So she's getting those private one-on-one sessions. And those are free to you guys, okay? You guys, anybody can sign up for something. Ideally, if you are a caregiver yourself, or if you are a patient yourself, that would be ideal. But yes, you can certainly schedule a session with me and we can work on anything you'd like. You guys, I'm almost done. This is awesome. I'm honestly just sort of experimenting to see what these colors look like when you mesh them together. That is one of the things that I love to do is I love to use water-based media. I always gravitate towards those water-based media. And honestly, those media help us to sort of tap into that relaxed state a little bit more easily. Dry things like pen and pencil, those are great, but they're more of that. They tend to lean towards that more left brain side of thinking. It's a little bit more analytical, a little bit more, what's the word? I lost my train of thought because I'm doing art. Now I'm actually done. I'm done putting water on top of this. Theoretically, I could wait for it to dry. Some of these areas are pretty dry. So maybe I'll just show you what pen looks like with those areas. Since it's still just a little bit wet, I'm going to use a Sharpie marker because that's not going to run. It's not going to bleed. So that's pretty good. Marker. And again, with any of these steps, I do not have to be perfect with my line making. And if I wanted to, like if I didn't want to wait for any of this to dry, I could work only on the white areas and give that a little bit of a pop. I can create rules and guidelines for myself. Perhaps maybe I only put some pen marks on the right side of an object, or maybe only on the bottom of an object. I can create those kind of rules for myself. It just kind of depends on how far you want to take it and whether or not you like to abide by so many rules in your artwork. It does look really nice though. Bottom, left side. So if you are having trouble seeing that, that's what it looks like. So if y'all are following along, please show us. I always love to see your projects. There. That one's kind of running out of ink. Cool. So I think I'm done for the day. I think I'm done with that. So at home, y'all are welcome to do any colors you want. You can do as many colors as you want. Make a little puzzle for yourself. That's exactly what this project was all about, was making that puzzle. So because I see it here, it needs a line. Anyway, don't forget that you can support us with a one-time donation if you would like. We always have a link for that. You can support us. There you go. I see it right there. One time, if you would like, we always appreciate that. And it helps us to continue what we do here and at the hospital, especially when we are ready to go back into that hospital. So thank you guys so much for joining us today. You can support me as well. You can give a monthly donation, or you can support any of our other creatives that we have in our lineup. Links to that as well in the comments. What else can you do? Um, thank you guys for being here. I really appreciate that. You guys have a wonderful weekend. It is Friday. We do have one more musical event for the week. I want to say it's going to be Megan, and that's going to be taking place later on this afternoon. We do have a schedule. If you would like to see that schedule, it's going to be on our Facebook page. So please check that out if you want one more little activity. But other than that, see you guys next week, and you guys have a wonderful weekend. So, bye.